And welcome back to the Greg Meriweather Show. I'm your host, Greg Meriweather. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Good to see everybody on here. Good to have the listeners. What's up, Facebook Live? Shout outs real quick. What's up, Ronnie? What's up, Renee? What's up, Debbie, my cousin? What's up, Mike Wilson? Good to see you on there. Lynn Morris, good morning. Good to see everybody out here doing their thing, listening. Man, it's been a great week. A lot going on in the city, a lot going on around the country. And it's just a real good thing to come on here Saturday morning, man. I love getting up, doing this thing, and getting it popping. So, real quick, we're going to talk about this quick shutdown. So this in the government has shut down. Right now, I just want to tell people, don't get all, because the word shutdown means so much to so many people, but I just want you to know, don't start tripping, because there are some things that may go down. But it's not what you think it is. So don't just get out here and think it's the end of the world. You ain't got to run to the grocery store and buy all the grocery. It ain't nothing like that. It's not the end of the world. It's just some government stuff that's popping off. I'm trying to find something. So Andre Carson put out something, and I just want to go through this real quick and read his message that I had. And it said, "Dear friend, as I'm sure you've heard, funding for the federal government runs out tonight at midnight. If Congress does not agree to spending bill by then, the government will shut down." He says, "I will continue pushing my colleagues in Congress to act responsibly and keep our government open. However, here's what you should know in the event that our government does shut down." So it says Social Security checks will still go out, though there will be delays in the processing of new enrollees. Medicare, which is considered an essential service, will remain up and running, and seniors will continue to get their benefits. Passport offices will be closed except for emergency services. Our men and women in uniform will be paid with IOUs until the shutdown is over, at which point they will receive retroactive pay. Most government agencies will shut down as federal employees are put on furlough. However, air traffic controllers, hazardous waste handlers, and food inspectors will still work. Business contracting with the federal government will have to push back project deadlines because the agencies that hired them will be unable to issue the necessary paperwork. National parks, zoos, and museums will be closed to visitors. The Small Business Administration will be unable to guarantee loans. The Center of Disease Control and Prevention will halt disease surveillance. Certain FEMA flood mitigation and flood insurance operations will be suspended. The Federal Housing Administration will be unable to endorse any single-family mortgage loans or process and approve new multifamily loans. And then the Department of Housing and Urban Development will be unable to honor community development block grants to state and local governments. He states, "As your representative, I take very seriously my constitutional responsibility to represent you and Indiana's 7th District in Congress. If a shutdown occurs, which it has this evening, rest assured that my staff and I will continue working on your behalf in Washington, D.C., and be available to assist you as usual. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out. Your friend, Andre." So Andre Carson has put out this message. So for those of you who want to know what occurs now that there is a government shutdown, those are some of the things. So make sure you share that, put that information out there so that you can, let people know what's going on. So I just wanted to make sure we got that out in the open, because it's necessary to understand that there is a government shutdown, but at the same time, we still have to continue to move forward in doing what we do as people every day. Cool? Good. All right. So I really want to start this show off by talking about this murder that took place with a young man by the name of Trayvon Mann. Saw his father, Walter Gowdy, guy who follows me, always on my page. Brother always have a lot to say, and then I saw on the news about his mom, and, they put out a lot. I think I was doing my show Tuesday, and Walter came on and said, my son's Mission G, can you say something on the show? And I went on to do that, and then he also they sent me a lot of flyers and stuff to post on Facebook. So unfortunately, their son was found murdered in an abandoned apartment close to, I believe, 42nd and Post. And, so it turned into a tragic event. One of the things that really kind of got me about this situation was I really wanted to, I was concerned because, they felt for the worst anyway. But the other part about it is when you have a child and you're like, you know what, I feel that he may not be alive. I think the ugly part, or what made it even worse, was the fact that they did not know where he was. When you think about the cold days and nights that we've had here in Indianapolis, and your son or daughter you believe has been murdered, and all of a sudden someone has left them somewhere in the cold, I mean, it makes it that much worse. And so I just want to really kind of talk on just this thing, because I've seen some of my brother's posts, and right now he's feeling quite regretful on some things that has happened in his life. My brother has done some time, and when you do some time and you're away from your children, man, a lot of things occur while you're away. And I just really want us to understand something, that when we're away as fathers, or when things are going on in our lives and we're not getting along, and things of that nature are happening in our relationships, in our homes, one thing we have to understand is this: we're the parents that those kids have, period. No matter what, we're the parents that those kids have, and we have to become better at this thing. I know that when you come from the struggle, it is very difficult with your kids, because you don't want them to endure any of the things that you've endured. But let me tell you something. When we look at how we've come out on the other side, and we look at the things that we're able to accomplish now, we'll find that the struggle was helpful. The struggle was good for us, because all of a sudden you realize, you know what, I'm able to make it through some things without cutting some corners. And I think that that's what we've got to get to our kids. I remember vividly how my parents wouldn't say it in that cliche kind of way of saying, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. But really they were saying, this is going to hurt, but it does hurt me to have to punish you, but I would rather punish you now than us have to deal with what life can give you. So therefore, parents, we have got to get back to a point of saying, this may hurt you, but it's good for you. All the stuff we give them, I know, we want to give them the world. We want to give them everything. But when it's all said and done, I cannot help you build a lifestyle that's fictitious. Because if I help you build a fictitious lifestyle, and then all of a sudden you have to figure out life, and you have to understand that I actually work very hard for you to have these things, and then you get out here and you don't realize how much stuff or how much money I've actually spent on you having these great things, then you start cutting corners. And then I'm responsible for your demise, in a sense, because I never gave you the tools to say, no, this doesn't come easy. This doesn't come easy. And we've got to become advocates of saying nothing in this life, especially for our people, nothing in this life comes easy. We have to get back to the grassroots of house, of home, of family, of community, of neighborhood. We got to get back to the roots of that. Because let me tell you something. When I think about this kid, when his mom said, he wasn't an angel. And I think about that. I think about that tough, because I'm like, okay, that's fair. And I'm glad she was a mother. She's a mother who can say it. I'm glad she's a mother who can say it, because there are a lot of mothers that would never say it. There are a lot of mothers who would be like, you know what, my kid didn't do nothing wrong. My kid didn't do nothing to nobody. But my heart goes out to that mother, because she is honest in saying, you know what, my son has some stuff going on. My son has some stuff going on. And my heart goes out to them, because I know now that there's a lot of parenting going on in their heads and in their hearts. There's a lot of things that they're regretting right now. But at the same time, as I spoke to that brother via social media, I told him, I said, brother, I want to get with you. I want to work with you, because now you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to this community to say, listen, I made mistakes as a father. There's some things now that I've lost my son. I want to be a father to help other people not go through this. We can't keep raising G's. I just got to be real on that. We got to start raising gentlemen. We got to start raising God-fearing men. We got to start raising good men. We got to start having great men. Okay, we can't, the gangster is gone. Because for every time a black male, a black woman falls in these streets, we go backwards as a people. We don't look at this the right way. We go backwards as a people because what happens is our future is dying in front of us. Think on that. When these children are laying in the streets, that's our future. So for every one of them that perishes, that's our future. That is a hit on our future. That is a hit on the next doctor, the next attorney, the next person who's going to sit in this seat, the next person who's going to be an advocate, the next person who has a great invention. We are losing this battle because we are trying to give them the future when it's not time. We have to understand that there is something so great about the present. There is something so great about looking and saying, I am raising you in stages. This is how money works. This is how love works, which is really driving me to this other point. I was researching some things, and I talked to a brother yesterday, my brother Shawn Smith, man. Shout out to my brother Shawn. And he called me, and he was just like, man, I don't know what we're going to do, G. And I said, man, whatever it is, Shawn, we can't stop. We can't quit. We got to keep moving because it's necessary. And he said, man, it's so rough out here because he said, you know, we got the music, we got the television, we got all these things, and these things are filtering into our systems. And I said, whatever it is we got to do, we can't stop. Which brings me to this point. There's something that I really wanted to talk about. And honestly, it's a touchy subject. I wanted to talk about homophobia. And I wanted to talk about homophobia as it relates to homicides. And here's what I mean by this. I was studying public affection amongst men, or affection amongst men. And what I found is there was a time where a man could have a bromance or a thing where he said, that's my brother, I love him. And he wouldn't mind saying, man, I hug my guy. What's up, bruh? You know, or when I see my son, I'm gonna be 100. I'm not kissing my son in the mouth. But if I see my son, hey, he's a little taller than me, I might hug him and kiss him on the cheek. I might kiss him on the neck, but he's my baby. So when I see him, I let him know that, listen, my love exceeds all that crap that people talk in the streets. It exceeds all that homophobia that they have fed into our communities through television. It exceeds all that stuff. Because here's what's happened. We've gotten to the point where we've watched all these Atlanta Housewives. We've watched this Love and Hip Hop. We watch the Tamars, and everybody goes and they get, they go get these guys around them that are homosexual. That's their preference. Not knocking homosexuality, that's their preference. But what happens is, anything that a man is doing now, and I'm not talking a homosexual man, I'm talking a heterosexual man. Anything a man does now to show any form of affection is now being looked at as homosexual. So we're raising these young men to be homophobic if they show any form of affection. Does it make sense for us to show love when a person is cold in a box, when we could have shown them affection and love while they were warm and moving about? Most of these cats never heard their homeboy say, I love you, and they still never heard it. But the first time they said, man, I love you, was when he couldn't hear it. He's laying in a box. So we look at this thing, and all of a sudden it's like, our sisters, I don't know, he dresses nice. I don't know, he always takes care of himself. I don't know, he gets his nails done. I don't know, he's well cut. I don't know, he takes care of his feet. I don't know, he's always well groomed. I don't know. So all of a sudden, we have built this homophobic system that feeds into homicide because everybody feels that they have to be hard. Bros won't even clean up because you tell them if they're clean, something's wrong with you. Think about what we've done. Think about how this message is being conveyed every single day, for the simple fact that you are now telling men that you can't hug that man. You telling your son, I can't, man, listen, get up off me with that. And all of a sudden your son saying, man, I can't hug you. I can't tell you I love you. And then we wonder why there's such a disconnect when they get face to face. We wonder why there's a disconnect, and all of a sudden they got so much hate in their system because you never allowed them to operate in a loving manner. And I'm not saying loving in an overbearing sexual way. I'm saying loving in a godly way. I'm saying loving in a way that says, man, listen, for every day I see you, I love you. Every day I want you to know, I want my son to know that when he's wrapped in my arms, that I am his protector, I am his guide, I am his friend, I am all those things, because I want you to be able to say, I can always go to my father. If there's an issue, if there's a question, if there's a doubt, if there's a fear, I can always go to my father. And we need to have young men becoming fathers. These young men are dying before they ever have the ability to be a father to somebody else. This young man who just perished, 19 with a newborn. And we haven't thought about the system of saying now there's a kid who is a newborn boy who has to have the story of a murdered father and has to learn that story before he can even walk. So how is it that we're preparing for the future when we can't even handle the present? So my thing is this, ladies and gentlemen, set aside your homophobic problems when it comes down to the affection of real men. Set it aside. And I don't mean real men from the sense of saying that those guys ain't men. I'm saying that there are men who love women who show emotion. There are men who love women who show affection. That does not make them gay. And you're creating more killers because you're killing affection. And I just want us to get to a point in this world where love can live, where love is okay. Everybody want to be a gangster, but don't nobody want to be godly. Everybody want to be a gangster, but don't nobody want to be loving. Everybody want to be a gangster. Stop waiting on this son. Stop letting this son, stop letting this daughter get all the way in front of a judge before they shed their first tear. Stop waiting for that. Stop waiting and he's standing in front of the judge about to get sentenced, and then he sheds his first tear because you told him real men don't cry. He may have told you his issue before he ever committed a crime. But instead, I don't want to hear that. Instead, I don't want to hear that you're sad. Instead, I don't want to hear that you're hurting. I don't want to hear that you're sad. I don't want to hear that you're struggling. I don't want to hear that you ain't got it. Listen, I was talking about it. I'm going to tell y'all something. I was looking for a ski mask. I was going to wear a ski mask in the first part of this show. I'm going to tell you why. I was going to come on the show like so, okay? And I was going to look at y'all in the face on Facebook Live, and I was going to tell you over the radio, I have on a ski mask. And I was going to have it up first. I wasn't going to pull it over my face. And in the show, I said, I was going to say, here is a young man who has done everything the system said he should have done. He went to school, he got the grades. He didn't have everything growing up. He had decent parents, but he had his ups and downs in his life. He looked around the community, he did not see much going on. The people that he looked at the most was the people who was doing the worst. He saw the drug dealer. He saw the robber. He saw this. But no one ever told him about the doctor or the lawyer. Nobody told him about the CEO. No one told him about greatness. Okay? So then all of a sudden, he looks and he goes to school. And he looks down at his feet and he may have on shoes that are busted. He may not wear true religion. He might not have the gear. But he's doing the necessary things. All the while, no one has told him, keep up the good work. No one has told him it doesn't matter on what you have on as long as what you have in you it has potential. What you have in you has more potential than anything you have on him. No one ever told him that. So he goes through this life. He doesn't have on a mask. He goes through this life and he continues to strive. And then after a while, he does what's necessary. He goes through school. He goes through college. He comes out and he finds that the system of America doesn't like him. He finds that, oh, I thought it was fair once I graduated from college. I thought I was just going to walk out here and get a six-figure job like Billy did. But I didn't. I found out that they didn't like me. But then all of a sudden I found out that there is pressure in my community. There is pressure to have money. There's pressure to have the car. There's pressure to have the house. There's pressure to have Louis Vuitton, Giuseppe Zanotti, all those things. It's pressure to have it. But here's what happens. All of a sudden you build a shameful person. And that shame allows that ski mask to come down. And as that ski mask comes down, it hides the shame. But then all of a sudden, you on the other side of that ski mask are now fearful of the thing that you've helped create. Because you said you should be ashamed of struggling. You should be ashamed that you tried. You should be ashamed to keep trying. You should be ashamed to keep moving forward. You should be ashamed that you're broke. You should be ashamed that you're working at this place and not making enough money. You should be ashamed. And so as this ski mask comes down, we don't realize the hurt, harm, shame, guilt, embarrassment, all these things that are now on the inside of a ski mask that we helped create. Because we said you wasn't good enough at face value. We said you wasn't good enough at trying. We said you wasn't good enough to struggle. We said you need to be this. This is what a man is. As opposed to saying a man is one who still works hard. A man is one who works hard and says, you know what, I might not have it today, but I still have the desire, the ambition, the willingness to get up every single day and try. So when we see the ski mask, know that there's a shameful person on the inside of it. Know that there's a hurting person on the inside of it. That's not what that really is. That's a manufactured killer. That's a manufactured thief. That's a manufactured hustler for the simple fact that you didn't let them be who they were and try. Stop embarrassing people for not wearing the highline stuff. Stop embarrassing men who are still getting up and trying to go to work. Stop talking down to these dudes who are trying to make a way. Embrace them. Embrace them. Because I'm going to tell you something. You may be able to go out here and get a kilo of cocaine right now. You may have that 30,000 right now. But let me tell you something. 30,000 and doing 30 years still means you made less than minimum wage. Let's break it. That's hood math. That's street math. 30,000, 30 years still made less than minimum wage. It's not worth it. Learn to love each other. We have got to get this thing down. I don't care what you've got. There's someone who has more. There is someone who has more. And when you putting this stuff out on social media on what you got, where you at, what you doing, how you living, this, that, and the other, I'll say this in the words of Greg Meriweather that I say all the time. If the only people you have to brag to are poor people, you don't have much. That's real. Especially if you're trying to go upward. Especially if you're trying to go upward. If the only people you could boast to are people who have nothing, you're not moving up. Check the record. People that got money don't boast. Y'all be sick if Oprah put everything she had on social media every day. You'd be sick if Jay-Z put everything he bought on social media every day. You wouldn't want to see him saying, I just checked into a 6-star hotel. You want to look and say, I just bought me another Bentley. You don't want to see him show his 20-car garage or his warehouse full of cars. But we got Negroes out here showing bands of money. And everybody think they doing it. You ain't doing nothing but making a fool of yourself. Anybody can do simple stuff. What are you doing that's different? So I'm going to say this before we go to break. And y'all know, let's break it down. Y'all know I like on Facebook Live, I like to come back in segments. And, in the show, come back, we do part 2. So I just want to say this, make sure we're doing what's necessary. Take that homophobic nature out of us. Take that out of us, because there's some brothers out here, man. I love my kids. I do. I love my kids. I love my friends. I love the people in my life. If I see you, I hang up from some of my homeboys and I say, man, if they say, what's up, but gee, I love you. Man, I love you too. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of that. Because when it's all said and done, I don't know the next time I may get to say it. That may be the last time. And I'm real with that. So don't buy someone a ski mask. Let that be our word. Don't buy someone a ski mask. Don't build a ski mask person in your life. Fix that. Fix it today, because if you don't, man, again, as our kids lay down in these streets, so does our future. So we're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, man, we're going to talk about what's going on in government. I want y'all to think about this. The people we vote for, how much money are they worth? And if they're worth so much money, do they really have the interest of people who don't have money? This is Greg Meriweather Show. We'll be right back.